Hello and welcome back to Whispers from the Soul. And once again, we're back here with Life After Life, this special program for NDEs. And today we're going to go to Florida in the USA, and we're going to talk to Judith Tylke. Hello, Judith.
Hello, Peter. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Very well. I can see you're very happy too. A lovely big smile on your face. That's nice to
Yeah.
see. Glad to see you're happy. Um, Now, tell me, because your ND was you when you were very young, wasn't it?
I had two of them,
You have
not
two.
just one.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was three, we were living in Las Palmas in the Gran Canaria Islands.
Oh,
My dad was a construction engineer and we country hopped my whole childhood.
all
So
right.
that happened to be, it was close to my third birthday.
Uh-huh.
That was the first NDE.
Right.
Then the second was 43 years later when I had septicemia, spent 6 weeks in a coma.
And which
So
one of them affected you more?
who knows? I don't remember being below three, so can't tell you how that changed my
But,
life.
but you remember
But the
clearly.
one I clearly remember the event itself, right? I remember what happened on the other side. That blazoned in my memory and repeated over and over for years.
That's amazing. At
But
3 years old.
I think it's the impact of it.
Right.
The two strongest memories I have from childhood,
Right.
one involved a physical injury
Right.
and the other involves the NDE.
Right.
So those got encoded very firmly into my psyche. But
Yeah.
I think in terms of transformation of life itself,
Right.
I'd have to point to the second NDE as being the more transformative.
Uh-huh. Now, because you had more consciousness of what life is all about, I suppose, and where you
Exactly.
came from and where you're going.
Yeah,
Uh,
just more agency because of the age. Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah. More experienced, more you know what's going on, more or less.
Hmm.
Okay. So in the first one, was it an accident or how did it happen?
Uh, this was 1960, end of 62, start of 63.
Right?
Okay. Household toxins and where they were stored under the sink in the bathroom.
Yeah.
People did, it wasn't in the zeitgeist at all. They didn't
No, no,
think
no.
about it.
That's like me, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
remember that.
I go into the bathroom and there's a bottle under the sink.
Right,
It's one of those just old fashioned heavy glass bottles with a
right,
screw cap.
right.
And it's got some kind of brown liquid that reminds me of chocolate milk.
Of course, yeah.
So I want to look at the bottle. And the bottle's really heavy. And I take the cap off and I smell it and it smells foul. I mean, nasty. And I kind of do this, right, from the smell. And I drop it. And I see the brown liquid spill across the tiles. It's black and white bathroom tiles, right? And I'm just brown liquid spilling. And I kind of squat down and I put my hand flat in it like this.
Right.
Curious child, right?
Yeah.
Boom, I'm out. Just that fast.
Wow.
Who knows what it was? There was a lot stronger toxins that people kept around then than they
Yeah.
do now.
The fumes of the toxins.
Something absorbed it through the skin.
Yeah.
That's
Of
a
course.
mode of absorption from a lot of insecticides.
Yeah.
So
And you were very young as well. You were very small, so
very small. Yeah, it
so
doesn't take much to overwhelm a body that
no,
size.
no.
Next thing I know, my mom's getting into a taxi. She's yelling at the taxi driver, Andale, andale arriba, mi hija muerta, mi hija muerta. And he freaks out. His Madre de Dios, ayúdame. And he's careening through Las Palmas. It's a very hilly place.
Yeah.
It's a mountain,
Yeah.
right? So he's careening around corners and we're being flung around in the taxi and mom's sobbing and he's, hitting the horn and Mother of God, help me over and over and over again. Next thing I know, I'm in the exam room.
Hmm.
And I'm looking down at the head and shoulders of adults who are looking at something under me.
Right.
And as an adult, I know now it was me under there, that they were working on me.
Right.
But in the moment, all I knew was they were ignoring me, and I didn't know why. Like, I'm talking to you and you're not responding and you're not even looking at me. And I get bored. This is boring. Nobody's talking to me.
You can't even see me.
Yeah. So I look around and I see a doorway that I hadn't really noticed before. And I think to myself, I'll go over there and see what's over there. And just that fast, I'm there. There's no sensation of movement or climbing down off something to walk across. I'm just there. And the doorway opens. And on the other side is this beautiful grassy knoll with a swing set on the top. And the whole thing is just drenched in golden sunlight. Beautiful. So I run over to the swing. I don't need help getting on it. I can climb in myself. I can swing myself. And pretty soon I'm swinging and hitting the top of the arc and flying, like literally flying. It was glorious. I was in childish bliss, just laughing and soaring and swinging my heart out. I don't know how long that lasted, but at the bottom of the hill appeared a woman that I didn't recognize. She was just a female dressed in some kind of white garb. And in my child's eyes, she didn't look that much different than the nuns and the nurses in the hospital.
Right.
Right? She just a woman in white. And she said, "It's time to go back now." And I said, "Nope. I'm having fun. I'm not
loving
going
it here."
back. No way. And she says, "It's time. You got to go back now." And I just said, "No." And as she's saying, "You have to go back or your mother will spend the rest of her life crying," my mother appears to my left like a spotlight on a stage. And she's collapsed into a straight back waiting room chair. And she's just sobbing.
Right.
And I said, "Okay, I'll go back." So I went over and took her hand. And the moment I touched her hand, I was falling through a white misty space with a feeling of downward sensation, not like out of control or careening, but just a gentle, no friction, no resistance, nothing. From underneath me suddenly comes a blade of some kind. I used to liken it to a razor blade. It just comes up under me and cleaves off a portion of me. It doesn't hurt, but it startles me.
Of course. Yeah.
And the moment that's gone, I can't remember what I lost. I just know there's something missing.
Part of you.
Right. It's gone, but the moment it's gone, I have no clue. Right. That happens 3 more times. And when this would recur, this memory would recur in dreams or meditation for years. It would end one of 2 ways, either with me floating above my body, seeing it, and then coming into it,
Right.
or with that falling in sensation that you get often in dreams, where you've been astral traveling and you re-enter the body and you're aware of that.
Right.
After the second NDE, that never repeated again. But I had that memory once a week, easy. It would come back. And I think with the second NDE, I finally understood what the first one was about.
Right.
Because until I had the second one, I really didn't know that's what had happened.
Right.
I didn't know that. Years later, I would talk to my mom about it. And in her recollection, I was unconscious from the moment she found me on the bathroom floor,
Right.
and only semi-conscious when I was handed back to her by the doctors at the hospital.
Right.
So she couldn't understand how I knew exactly what she'd said to the taxi driver or what he repeated through the drive, or she just looked at me with her mouth open and said, I don't know, you were unconscious. How do you know that? I've always seen energy around people.
Right.
Even in video, film, the field's there. Did I do that before? Or did I only bring that with me? Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
Because kids can see and do, they have access to a far broader range of those gifts than as adults we have.
Less conditioned.
We have to. Yes, that's exactly it. Less people telling them that's not real.
That's right.
Yeah. So, visitations from relatives who've just passed was not an unusual thing in my family. I knew when my grandparents passed because they came to see me and let me know they were going. I've always had strong intuitions. I've read tarot cards since I was 13 and always kept that part of my life alive, usually with just one or two other people who shared those beliefs, right? But it wasn't something that was widely talked about. You didn't go into work and say, hey, I'm reading a tarot reading. A lot of people would look at you, boy, she's really strange. Don't go over there.
She lost it.
Not so much anymore, but that was certainly true for a long time.
Of course, yeah. And it's only just recently been like normalized.
Yes, exactly. And it's beautiful to see. I'm so grateful to see it now.
Yeah.
Fast forward 43 years. It's 2005, December, and I have pneumonia.
Right.
And I go to the doctor, get the medication, take it dutifully, do the thing. The doctor thinks, and I think that I'm past it. What I don't know is that it's remained in a trace bacterial infection in the bases of my lungs.
Right.
And by April, I was septic. You work a couple jobs, you're a single parent, you don't think in terms of there's something wrong with me if you're tired.
Right.
That's not the first thing that comes to mind.
No.
It's, I need to get more sleep this weekend. That's what you think.
And that's the first, I think that's the first symptom as well of when you have, because I've had it as well, pneumonia, is the tiredness you feel. And
exactly.
Then the pain in your side, that comes later.
The pleuritic pain, yeah. For me, it was a tremendous headache. And I know now I was short on oxygen.
Yeah.
And there was bacteria running through my system. But I was just tired and had a bad headache. It wasn't that, not all that out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So it's the first weekend, I think, in April.
Right.
My brother's in town for a visit. So we're having a family dinner at my parents' house.
Right. And
my mom says, why don't you go home and get some rest, and I'll have your brother bring your son home when he's ready to go.
Right.
And I was just grateful to have a couple hours to myself. So I said, okay. I went home and went to sleep on the couch. I later found out my son came in, couldn't rouse me, and then started this whole take me to the hospital thing, right? But my perspective, going to sleep on the couch, a momentary flash, I'm in a hallway in a hospital,
Right.
A momentary flash, I'm in a room in a hospital.
Right.
Don't know why, where, nothing, just like a picture, a mental picture.
Yeah.
And then I'm walking in the door of my grandmother's kitchen. And this woman that looks a lot like my grandmother in her youth, in her prime,
Right.
but also reminiscent of my aunt who's still with us, right? And I wonder, what am I doing in Adele's kitchen? What's Maymay doing in Adele's kitchen? And then it comes to me that it was her kitchen. It was her last kitchen. Okay. So there's a door and a little island with the stove. Walk around the stove to the dining area. There's an arch into the living room. And she says, I want you to meet some people. And through this archway comes a whole row of females.
Right.
Do you remember Aunt Agnes?
Mm-hmm.
It's her sister. It's the only one I knew in life other than my grandmother. All the rest of them, she knew who they were, what relationship they were to me. This is your great grandmother so-and-so. And all of them were dressed in the garb of the era they came from.
Right.
All of them in their prime of their youth or life.
Yeah.
They didn't look all that different than me in my mind's eye, right? She knew them all. And all I knew was they belonged to me, that they were my ancestors, whether I knew them or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maymay says, these ladies are going to go back to your room with you. You can choose to stay or you can choose to go back. But you're going to go back to your hospital room while you make the decision, and they're going to go with you. I was so confused. Because in my mind, I'd gone to sleep on the couch, and now what's going on?
Yeah.
And that mental question was, decide what? Literally, decide what? And I'm going to tell this in one long narrative so that it makes more sense.
Right.
But this middle section of it, I did not recollect until after I'd had a between life regression session.
Right.
Years later. I now know if I had remembered this middle section, that stuff within my family dynamics that needed to play out the way they needed to play out would not have if I'd come back with this information. So it was only revealed to me years later.
Right.
I'm asking, decide what? And the whole house just fades away around me. And then I'm in this beautiful white space. It's a big room, pearlescent walls,
Right.
but the light's literally coming from the structure itself. There's no braziers or light forces, it's just the walls are made of light. The whole room's made of light.
Okay.
There's this, I say male figure, but from his looks, you wouldn't have called it male or female, just a beautiful being, kind of androgynous, beautiful features, dressed in just this white light, and eyes that shone with love. They were like searchlights of love. They were so intense. And on either side of Michael was four beings that I later discovered were my guides.
Right.
And I knew that this was my family, my soul family, that we incarnated as a group, and that we took turns. Whoever was the one incarnating in the moment was the captain of the team and called the plays, and the rest of them would be in the support roles.
Right.
And when it was their turn, that would be them who would be incarnated, and the rest of us would be supportive of them.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like it was a hologram being projected in the center of the circle that we formed.
Right.
Okay, because we formed a circle. Michael, me, and 4 on either side.
Mm-hmm.
Was a replay of my life. Now, the stuff that's the same old stuff you do every day, the washing the dishes, the driving the car, that stuff you just kind of watch and it moves in a kind of fast forward thing.
Right.
But when you interact with others and it's a moment of either beauty, conflict, variations of any of that, you get pulled into it. And it's no longer this not life-size event happening that you're watching, but you are there. You're thinking what you thought, you're feeling what you felt, you're issuing those words that came out of your mouth. And at the same time, you are inside that other person.
Yeah, that's not the
and you're
That's
you're
that's happened quite often, where you feel the feeling of both sides of how
at the same
at the same time, how both felt and what both were thinking and how they both came away from that situation or that conflict or that
exactly
moment.
that interaction, whatever it was, right?
Yeah, whatever it was.
And if it didn't go well, then you are asked, how could you have been more compassionate or more loving in that situation? What could you have done to have changed it? And every time, you know what action you could have taken that would have brought the highest outcome to that situation.
So it's a learning process. It's not a judging process. Let's keep that.
No, it is not. It's not judgment. After the first interview I did, I had a couple people say, "Oh, I'm not looking forward to my life review." And I'm like, "No, are you kidding?"
It's to help you.
It's not only does it help you, but I guarantee most of us have lives where we've done more good than we've done harm, or spread more love than we've spread anything else.
Yeah.
But we are products of cultures that teach us to be hard on ourselves. Yeah. And for the most part, our self-talk sucks.
Yeah, it does.
We need to be more compassionate with ourselves.
Yes.
And there's no moment of that entire life review that isn't 100% compassion and love. You are praised for the things you do beautifully, and you're gently, like you're a toddler learning to walk. They don't say, "Well, you dummy, you fell down and skinned your knees." They pick you up, they brush you off, they tell you, "You can do it. I know you can walk across the room." See, it is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and so not what we're told when we're little kids. There is no one sitting on a throne handing down judgment on you. Yeah. You judge yourself.
That's why I wanted to make it clear that in that moment, in that precise moment, because lots of NDEs have said very similar experiences, talked about this very similar experience, where they're in that situation where you feel and you know what the other person is thinking and what they're feeling and what you're feeling and what you're thinking in that moment, that it's not from a judgmental view. It's from a learning view.
Right. Very much so. We use karma and throw that word around as a retribution source, right?
Yeah.
But the word actually only means action.
Yeah.
When you go through your life review, you hear yourself being resentful and angry with that brother or sister you never got along with, and you feel it from their perspective too, right? But you also know how harmony could have been brought to the exchange.
Yeah.
Right? What action you could have taken that would have broken that cycle, that endless repetitive cycle.
That didn't occur to you in that moment.
Exactly right. Because you were blind to it. Your perspective was far too narrow.
Yeah.
But from that greater, broader perspective, seeing both sides,
right,
you're well aware that there's very few bad guy situations where it's black and white, they're evil and you're not.
Yeah.
We like to think in that way, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's all shades of nuance and who's in balance and harmony with each other, whose action was loving.
Yeah. There's a backstory
Right.
to every action. There's a
Exactly
backstory
right.
to every experience that you have of the other person and yours. You know yours, you don't know the other person's.
That's exactly right. And one of the most valuable things is you realize there's very little difference between you and them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter culture, religion, all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
They fundamentally want the same things you do. And we're all part of the same fabric, the same whole, which is the kind of secondary lesson of the whole life review process.
Yeah.
Because you can't deny the divinity in somebody else once you've been inside that skin.
Right.
So that process ended, and I was enveloped in this group embrace. Just all of us, there was so much love in that space. That fades away, and I'm just hanging in a white space. I'm literally suspended in light. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that unconditional love is the very fabric of our being. It's the fabric of source. It's the fabric of the entire cosmos. Unconditional love. I know that there's nothing I could do, say, be that wasn't loved and cherished to a degree that I can't even put words to.
Yeah.
It's so profound, so healing. A lifetime worth of pain, a lifetime worth of suffering, all that is immediately healed in that moment.
I don't know if you feel this way, but from hearing lots of interviews of NDEs that have talked about that unconditional love that is inexplicable in words, because there's no love on earth in the physical world that compares to it. No brotherly love, no motherly love, no children love, no wife or husband love. There's nothing that can compare to that kind of love. I've come to the conclusion, this is my opinion, that that's probably the most important thing you bring back from that experience, of what they wanted to show you, of what you learned in that experience.
Yes.
Or each one of you, in a different way, but each one of you.
Right. Everything about all of our experience is to help us move every aspect of ourselves deeper into the frequency and vibration of love. Yeah. Back to what we are.
The foundation, everything.
The foundation, right. The welcoming you receive with Source, you're welcomed back. This is part of me. I'm welcoming back into my heart. That is the closest. You're just being welcomed back.
Oh.
Yeah. In this profound, beautiful way. I spent the 6 weeks of my coma traveling around. I saw souls I knew from other times, recognized them immediately, looked into other dimensions, saw what it was like to be the observer, just observing it happen.
Right.
At one point I was, I'm sorry.
Lives? Did you go into other lives?
I was standing outside of time.
And
it's this weird way that recollections have come back to me has been very piecemeal, because I wasn't well still when I woke up from the coma.
Right.
I still had a lot of physical healing to do.
Yeah.
I was doing Qigong one day,
Right.
and I just very deep meditative kind of movements, and I'm into it. And I idly wonder, wonder what it's like to stand outside of time. And just that fast, the memory was restored. And there's a swirling energy, looks like a billion gossamer cobwebs,
Right.
lit up each one of them.
Right.
And the skein is loose and tight and loose and tight and loose and tight, and it's just spiraling like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the soul on this side of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see the soul on the other.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have an appendage, for want of a better word, an arm, going down into that energy stream. And if the fingers were a stream of energy from each one, these are all of the lives I'm having on Earth right now.
Right. All at the same time.
All happening concurrently.
Yeah.
This now.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I was on Andromeda, Alpha Centauri, some other place, the lives in that environment would be the ones that were playing out.
Right.
Right? I know the mechanism. I don't begin to understand it.
Right.
I just know that that's what was happening.
Right.
And the souls are just communing. It's like they're sitting in the middle of a room watching a 12, 15, however many TV sets.
Yeah.
And what we're doing in this life directly affects and plays out in these other lives. If we resolve a conflict, that karma, take a different action, don't have that argument with someone, change the relationship, that relationship changes in all the other lives happening concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
The same with awakening.
Right.
Whatever lifetime I awaken in, that echoes forward and backwards, and every movement is like a ripple in a pond.
Yeah. The concentric circle, it goes out and gets bigger.
That's exactly right. I remember my life planning, being so excited to come to this life, choosing what was going to happen, who I was going to do what with. I remember being warned, are you sure? Because that's a really hard place to go to. It's not easy. And I was so blithe. I'm like, oh, I can handle that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Then you regret it when you get it. When you get it, you regret it. You get it. Did I really?
Why did I pick this?
Did I really pick this?
That's one of the real benefits of my second NDE is I know for a fact I picked being here.
Yeah.
Like there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I picked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no mistake here.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you think, why did I pick this?
Yeah.
I just want a pleasure life. Please, just one.
Yeah, when I was healing, that was especially, why did I come back if it was for this?
Yeah.
I'm taken back to my hospital room.
Right.
And I'm floating at the ceiling level. My body's in the bed. My Aunt Adele's next to it. She's holding my hand. And in chairs aligned against the wall are 6 women who came back with me.
Right.
The woman at the far end where the wall meets and forms a corner with the other wall.
Yeah.
Is this lady in a 50s beehive hairdo.
Right.
One of those Nemesis suits with the jacket and the little skirt. And she's knitting, right? She's just knitting away, having a good time. And the ladies are all just having a coffee clutch. They're talking to each other. They're chattering away. They're gossiping. They're having a great time.
It's like being at the hairdressers.
It really was. In fact, one of them says to me, she just kind of turns out of the conversation she's having and she notices me looking at them
Yeah.
and says, "Isn't it wonderful if you go back with us? You can spend all your time doing this, just visiting with people, having conversations."
I was quite curious that one of them was knitting. She must have been
It was
knitting
what
for eternity.
she,
Never.
whatever she, it was her moment. She probably knit in real life while she was chatting with her friends, and
Yeah.
and she was keeping that behavior. Some had
Yeah.
coffee cups, some had,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just six women having a good old time visiting with each other.
From different eras.
It's totally different eras and not a missed beat between them.
Right.
Now, I couldn't understand what they were saying. It was like a murmur of a
Yeah.
crowd in a background,
Yeah.
except when the one on the end addressed me. I asked, "Where's Alex?" And I'm told that's my son. He
Hmm.
was 15 at the time that
Hmm.
I was in the coma.
Hmm.
And I'm like, where's he?
Hmm.
And they said, "Oh, he's fine. Is it your mom and dad's?" And I'm shown him laying on the family room floor. I think he's playing a video game. But I asked him about it, and he's like, "No, Mom, I played the video game upstairs. I watch movies downstairs." But all I could do is see him on that carpet, right?
Right.
And our dog of the day, Jazz, was curled up next to him.
Right.
So I was shown he was okay. He was with his dog.
Right.
He was at my parents'. And I wonder what his life would have been like if we stayed in California, because that's where he was born. And just that fast, I'm gifted with a vision of him if we'd stayed, right? I see him come home from school.
What do you call that? It's what do they call it? The different
Multiverse, the parallel
yeah,
lives.
parallel lives.
Yes.
Yeah. Parallel.
Yeah. So
Would have happened.
What would if the probabilities?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
probably.
probabilities
That's
playing
right.
out. Yeah.
Like
So
what's that film called with Matthew McConaughey?
I don't remember.
The space one. At the end of the film where there's all these thousands of possibilities where
Yes, yes, I know the movie. I see it's right here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's right there, but I can't remember it. I can't remember the name. But yeah, I know. Do you know the scene I mean, right? So
Yes, I do.
It's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I see him come home from school. I follow him around the house we live in. I see the street. He's getting ready to go out and go skateboarding with a cousin.
Right.
And he's happy. As he's walking out the door, just for that brief flash, I know that the cousin he's meeting, he loves like a brother and thinks of him like a brother, not like a cousin.
Right.
And that he is super happy to be going out to hang out with his brother.
Right.
Right. And then I'm back in the hospital room, floating. My mom comes in. She worked at a department store and she was still dressed in her nice clothes for work.
Yeah.
So I knew she'd just come from work.
Right.
And she walks across the room. And as she's walking in, she says to my Aunt Adele, "Has she been awake?" And Adele says, "No, she opened up her eyes at one point, but didn't say anything. And then her eyes just drifted closed again. And she's just been resting quietly ever since."
Right.
My mom crosses to a chair that's sitting catty corner, like this in the corner.
Right.
And she sits down. But that puts her half in, half out of the lap of the beehive hairdo lady. Now I can see this happening, and I'm laughing to myself because it looks like Mom's sitting in the lap of the beehive hairdo lady. She's just knitting and talking to her buddies. She's completely ignoring my mom. and that she's got this, excuse me, being sitting in her lap.
Right.
And they're just different frequencies, different dimensions, and I think, excuse me, from a energetic side,
Right.
they're so used to being ignored by those embodied,
Right.
that they just ignore them as well. But yeah, it was funny to me that this was happening. The women were in energy.
Yeah.
I didn't see them the way I see you.
Right.
It was more of a, how in the Matrix you see lines of code in the shape of the person?
Yeah.
Right? It's similar to that, only it's not lines of code, it's little photons of light, golden particles of light.
Like a hologram.
Like a hologram.
Right.
But you're aware that this is light waves in the form of this person.
Yeah.
Right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. I never said, I'll come back, I'll go. I just was perfectly at peace, perfectly whole, no worries or wants in the world, except I wondered when my son was going to come visit. And I was looking out the door for his presence.
Right.
And that was it. They knew somehow that that's where my thoughts were.
Your decision.
That was my decision. So, yeah, I know for a fact I chose being here.
Yeah.
Because I remember the choice point. Death is nothing to be scared of. It's just another transition in an eternity of transitions, right? If you think about our lives in the physical,
right,
from birth to that transition we call death,
yeah,
everything about life has changed. Everything.
Every day.
This is just one more change. Nothing to fear, nothing to, jump into before you're ready or to run away from if you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what scares us as human beings is not having a physical body.
Yes.
We can't understand. We don't have the intelligence or the understanding of what it would be like not to have a physical body.
I think that, we have senses 360 degrees, all the way from the quantum to the material.
Yeah.
But as a species, we've focused on those 5 grossest senses.
Yeah.
To the exclusion of the others.
Yeah.
And I think the more you open yourself up to those subtler energies, the more you feel and become aware of that we are frequency. We are frequency and vibration. We are energy. Yeah. This avatar, if you will, that I inhabit, this body,
that's exactly what
it's an accretion of energies, right? But if you picked it apart at its fundamental, we are energy. And so we move from, like the sine wave, we go up and down in that biorhythm. We also move from the physical to the energetic, back into the physical to the energetic, we are the sensory apparatus of the source, creator, cosmos, whatever name you want to hang on that. Yeah. We are the sensory learning apparatus.
We are.
We go out, get experience, and take that experience back to source. where it's joined with all the other diversity of experience from across the whole cosmos. And that's beautiful.
There's a question that a lot of people ask, because I imagine, because it's difficult to understand. Why would spirit want to come here if they know everything? That was this type of question that people who
Tell me what chocolate tastes like if you don't have a body.
I would come this life just to do that.
Just chocolate.
I'm a chocoholic. I'm a chocolate.
Me too.
Love chocolate.
That's why it's my prime example. My son was poo-pooing one day. Oh, the body's overrated. And I'm like, oh yeah, really? What does chocolate taste like? And he goes, oh yeah, okay, Mom, wait a minute.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I would come here just for the chocolate.
We do. We literally embody because we want to savor in a physical way those experiences that we can remember.
Yeah.
Right? We can recreate to a certain extent, but that's not going to tell you what the experience is like.
And
right?
the contrast too.
Yeah, we learn through contrast.
That's right.
You know what hot is because you knew what cold was,
yeah.
right? So once you know love and you look at your life and how you behave and what, what messages you tell yourself, how you act in the world, you can very clearly see where you weren't loved.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's true of every single thing. Yeah. When we're in the physical, the experiences we want to experience are those from the energetic.
Yeah.
Even if you remember them, right? Recreating them is part of the magic. And when we're in energy, we plan to the nth degree all our time in the physical so we can make the most of it. Right? So we can have that loving relationship or challenging relationship or learn that lesson.
That's true. Yeah. And I think the complete opposite. I heard a phrase by Greg Braden a few years ago that he said, we generally have only two emotions. We have lots of feelings, but only two emotions, which is fear and love.
Right.
And if we took fear out of the equation, we would feel unconditional love. But we're not capable of doing that because fear is what embarks in the relation, all the rest of it, anger. And so if we worked, like you said before, because we live with our five senses. So if we took that out of the equation too, if we learn to meditate every day and live from inside out instead of from the outside in, we probably could come near to try and, pull apart that fear part and live from unconditional love.
Paul Selig's guides, the group that he channels, say that fear is literally the denial of the divine in the other.
Yeah.
So
understood.
That's literally our denial of the divine.
Yeah.
And that every time we deny the divine in someone else, we're denying it within ourselves.
That's the ego.
That's the ego part of it. But we're not supposed to let ego drive our car.
Yeah, that's right.
Ego is just a passenger, like personality.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to. You said it correctly.
It's supposed to.
We're not.
And it's an ever-moving target. I'm not, we're all guilty of it at one point or another. So it's a very human behavior. It really is just a very human behavior. They also said something else that has resonated with me so deeply. And if you think you're separate from your soul, you think you're separate from each other, the world, life, right? You bought that perspective.
Right.
Every time you stand within your integrity, You stand within your honor.
Yeah.
You do what's right just because it's what's right, not because you're going to benefit in any way, shape, or form.
That's a big one.
Just because it's right.
That's a big one.
Right?
That's a big one.
Exactly. When we do those things, when we stand in our honor, we are literally embodying our soul.
Yeah.
That's the literal embodiment of our intrinsic self.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
It is.
That's really beautiful.
It is. When you're in that position of doing something for someone without expecting anything out of it.
Right.
You really have to think, you really have to be present to do that, because the ego is a big part in that, even if it's just a pat on the back.
Right. Yeah.
Like, look what I did. No, you don't look for that. You got to do it in secrecy. You got to do it and not let anyone know that you've done what you've done, except the person you've done it for.
We're the kid on the playground who stands up for some other kid they don't even know.
Yeah.
Against a bully.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But all we know is that, hey, that big kid's being mean to that little kid.
Yeah.
So they step in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that childish sort of, this is right and that's not, and I don't want to be treated any way but the right way. So if, I'm going to make sure other people get treated that way too. That's
right. And to do that, there's another thing that you mentioned also, is that they're looking after yourself. It sounds very selfish, but also Dr. Wayne Dyer said that too. He said you can't give something you haven't got for yourself.
When I was a teenager, I looked at different religions. I tried to find a belief system that fit me, made me feel like I fit within it, right?
Belong.
Yeah, never did find anything. It's fine.
I know how you feel, nor did I.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll do the salad bar thing, all right? I'll take a little bit from here and a little bit from there. Make my own plate. I was 15 and I came across this saying by I think 14th century Jewish philosopher named Hillel. He said, if I am not for myself, then who will be for me? If I am only for myself, then who am I? And if not now, when? We have to understand ourselves to find harmony within ourselves.
Yeah.
But we can't be harmonious with anybody else if we're not harmonious with ourselves.
Yes.
And that very harmony, and then the harmony we get with someone else because of it, keeps spreading again like that proverbial ripple in the pond. And we end up affecting the resonance and frequency of everyone else around us.
Yeah.
And we are notes of music. We are frequency and vibration.
We are.
Yeah.
It's interesting you said that about, because every interaction has a reaction between two people of what, depending what they say to you and how you react to them. It's very important that we're conscious about what we do and what we say.
Yes.
When we interact, we should be much more conscious of what we're doing. And to do that, you have to be very present. And it's not easy.
I think it isn't. But I really do think it begins with checking in with yourself, being just very honest, but very compassionate with yourself.
Yeah.
And your own self-talk can be very, how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
You cannot.
We're pretty rough on ourselves, yeah.
We really are. And when we come to appreciate, there's nobody like me but me. I'm special and unique in my own right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Um, and that I am thoroughly worthy of being loved,
Oh,
right? When you come to those realizations about yourself, it's so much easier to extend those feelings and, to others. It really is.
it is. It is. And that's when you can give what you've got inside for yourself.
Right.
You have it first before you can give it. If you don't have any love inside, you can't give out any love.
No, but part of that comes from just making space for other people too.
Hmm.
A lot of conversations, the people are so busy thinking about what they're going to say next that the conversation gets missed.
Yeah.
I want to be present in my conversations. I want to hold space for you to speak to me and then me to give a considered response,
Correct.
right? Exactly, because that's where the magic comes from.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can learn.
everything.
You learn because
Well,
you're interacting, and maybe you can say something that I didn't think. And you think, oh, I never thought of that point of view before. I've never thought of that perception of something before. Yeah, maybe you're right.
exactly right.
Hmm.
The change in perspective is always useful.
Of course.
Maybe it's just a degree off of yours,
Hmm.
right? But it's always useful.
Hmm.
You never know who you can learn something from.
Hmm.
It could be an arcane fact you never use, or it could be something that you pass along to someone else at the right moment in time because you heard it 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right? We need to go back to the time when we shared knowledge and information freely with each other to benefit each other, to help each other grow. That's not necessarily been true historically. So
And
it's
certain
nice to
things,
see.
and there's certain things nowadays that also that are you can't say this and you can't do that and you can't say this and things that we've said always and giving my I can't even give my opinion without someone saying you can't say that. Why not? It's my opinion. It's my
Yeah,
opinion. It's my opinion.
right.
You can agree with me or disagree with
Or
me,
disagree,
but I
but you
have
have
my
the
opinion.
right to speak, of course.
I don't see
Yes,
things the same as you. Maybe you're a Catholic and I'm a Muslim, and I don't see the same thing the same way as you. So okay, I have to respect your idea.
right. But we've taken that to like the crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was speaking to my son about something altogether different one day, and I said to him that person was from the Orient. And he said, "You're not allowed to say that anymore." And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's a geographic region." Are you kidding? You're not allowed to say what? And he goes, "You're not allowed to say that about people anymore." I'm pretty sure, Mom. And I'm like, honey, if it was an Oriental, if I was slurring somebody, yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be one
yeah.
thing.
Well, that's the
But we're
intention.
talking about a geographic region of the planet that literally goes from India all the way to Japan.
Right.
So
So, but even if you say that someone is Oriental, why can't you say someone is Oriental?
I
It's
don't know. I don't honestly don't know.
it's not
Other
slurring
than
anyone.
some group, somebody at some point said I object, and it's been blown so out of proportion that
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's being considered a not politically correct thing, which
But
is insanity.
just words. I mean, as long as you're not,
I
as long as you're not saying it with a bad intention, it's the intention
exactly.
behind the words, not words that hurt. It's the intention behind them, and that's
I
what we're
said,
losing.
yeah, I said to someone just a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, they said something about, oh, I don't like your I don't like your mouth, which is Southern speak for I don't like the words you're using.
Yeah, what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah. And I said, well, you should know as well as I do that profanity is in the mind of the hearer. It's not in the intent of the speaker.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Well, certain things have changed, and we have to move along with it, and that's it. But as we were saying before, if if someone in your family or someone around you is not giving you the right energy that you feel is giving you something, then
Nourishing. Yes.
then
Yes. We have to be discerning about what nourishes us and what doesn't,
what doesn't, yes. What
right?
gives us energy or takes energy away.
And to a certain extent, we can't control the family we're born into.
No.
No. We can control how much of the media nonsense we internalize. How much of it, I don't give it any time or attention,
Zero.
right? Zero, me three. But, there's people that do. It's okay to be informed, but why do you have to dive deep to the bottom of the pool?
No.
Right? So we have control over the people we associate with the thoughts we think,
right,
with the positions we align to.
Yeah.
We control. Free will is a real thing.
Yeah.
And we have free will and agency over so much.
We do. We do. And adding to that is the moment of the day for yourself. There has to be a moment every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, where you go inside.
Inward. Yes.
And block everything out from the outside.
It's just a matter of quieting the mind.
Yeah.
So that for that few moments, however long they are for each of us, right? You have that moment of internal quiet. Listen in, how am I doing?
With
right? Yes. I find that, and this I got from Dawson Church. He said the best time to do meditation, to take that quiet moment for yourself, is either first thing in the morning when you're still naturally in that alpha sleep, relaxed state, right? Or the last few moments of the day, right? Because again, you're either going into or coming out of alpha.
That's right.
And that's the most relaxed, awake state you can have.
I like to do it in the mornings. I like to do it first thing in the morning when I wake up, before I get up.
Yep.
In bed, you're still relaxed, you're still comfortable. Just go there and go through and see how you are. How am I today?
Yes, exactly.
How am I feeling?
And I like to greet the sunrise with a thank you, Spirit, for a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gratitude is another big one we haven't talked about. That's another big one.
A big one
for everything that we see. Everything. I've learned to appreciate. It's more about awareness than gratitude. It is gratitude too, because I say thank you every time I do it. Walking along the street, seeing something beautiful. Could be anything. Could be a flower. Could be a lovely little dog or a little baby. I don't know, anything you can see around. A beautiful tree.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful trees. There are some beautiful trees around.
Think how beautiful the whole relationship we have with the growing world is.
Yeah.
A perfect symbiosis.
Yeah.
They take our poison and they translate it back into something that feeds and nourishes us on a fundamental level.
That's right.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There are lungs.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in heart-brain coherence and heart-based breathing.
Of course, yeah.
Physiologically, there's all kinds of benefits to it.
Yeah.
And if someone's not aware of what it is, they can go to the Heart Math Institute. I think it's heartmath.com.
Yeah.
And they've got all the science, peer-reviewed, nth degree, right? But it puts you in that space of deep relaxation.
Yeah.
And when you put gratitude in it, it supercharges it. You get this boost of energy that's like a jolt of electricity. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I heard about them through Greg Braden because he's worked with them a lot.
Yes.
I investigated a little bit and I read a lot about it, and they're amazing. They are an amazing institute.
It's one of the fundamental practices of my spiritual practice on a daily basis,
Right.
but it was also fundamental to my healing practice. I spent 4 years in a wheelchair after the coma. So I had, I had to learn to do everything all over again, and then I still had to heal.
Yeah.
So it was a long, arduous process, but heart-based breathing, the coherent breathing, the generating the magnetic field, bringing my body into that greater physiological health, and all those others. It's like you flick a domino and all these dominoes start falling down in a big pattern. Yeah.
That's right.
It's really, yeah, that is one of the most fundamental tools anybody can use.
It is. It is. So I urge people who are listening to us to look it up.
There you go.
Heart
Yes, heart math.
They're gonna love it if they see it.
Really are. Anytime I need to tell someone how to relax,
Right.
I have a neighbor who just had open heart surgery for atrial fib,
Mm-hmm.
and he was having a lot of problems with it. Just relaxing enough to keep out of fibrillation till he could get to surgery.
Right.
And I taught him heart-based breathing and, body coherence. So he's in the hospital and his pulse oxygen's too low when he wakes up after surgery. And he says, go away, 5 minutes. And he did 5 minutes of coherent breathing. And when they came back, it was at 98 like they wanted it to be.
Give me 5 minutes.
That's
I'm
right.
going to meditate a little bit.
I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and breathe from the bottom of my lungs.
That's great.
Oh,
That's fantastic. I mean, it's yeah, why not? It's like you could do that with your blood pressure too. Is it? Give me 5 minutes.
it's
I need,
true.
I need to.
Yeah.
You can do it with anything. You can do it if you practice enough. You can do it.
It becomes habitual. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
I wanted it to become habitual. So anytime it occurred to me, at any time of the day, I would do heart-based breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom of the lungs, deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
You can do it driving the car, watching in the shower. It doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah. See, that's the biggest excuse in it. I don't have time. So,
but everybody breathes, so you can't make that excuse with this
that's
one.
what I mean. That's what I mean. It's the same with meditation, though. Meditation you can do anywhere. You don't have to be sitting down in a quiet room with your eyes closed. You can do it walking. You can do it driving. You can do it anywhere.
I tell people meditation is that thing that gives you that moment of peace and flow.
That's right.
For my son, it's riding a bicycle for
Right.
150 miles in a single ride. But whatever works for him is fine for him. Not me, but that's okay.
No.
Yeah. For others, it's being in the garden or painting or cooking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Follow what you love and find that meditative place that lets you take yourself out of the worry, out of the concern.
Mm-hmm.
A tool I heard from a spiritual guru was imagine there's no past and imagine there's no future. Just this moment now.
Yeah. It's important. It's very important.
It really is.
We either live in the past or in the future. If we live in the past, we're usually nostalgic. And if we live in the future, we're nervous of what's going to happen. So if you live in the moment, you won't get either of them.
But it's back to the analogy of who's driving the car.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not looking through the windshield, you are going to crash sure as anything.
You are.
So look in the wing mirrors, glance in the rear view occasionally, see where you've been, what's going on around you. But yeah, stay in the moment so you can look through the windshield.
That's right. That's right.
And live a conscious life.
You don't have to know what's going to happen in, next week or tomorrow. And it's like the analogy of Jack Canfield. If you can drive from California all the way to New York through the night, and you can see with your headlights is the next 100 meters. You're not going to see more.
That's right.
You don't need. You're going to get there.
Eventually,
You just have to follow the light every step by step.
exactly. And there's nothing to be afraid of in that next 100 meters of roadway. It
No,
just hasn't been illuminated yet.
that's right. That's the
And
way.
that's the same thing with dying, which is
Yeah.
a silly word all by itself, right? We lose our body,
Transition.
but we move into a different, like moving from elementary school to high school.
Yeah.
It's still you.
Yeah.
A lovely man in his 70s reached out to me and said, I really want to believe in life after death. And I was trying to think of a non-experiential way to convince him.
Right.
What's a nice rational argument?
Right.
People have been having near-death experiences for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Tibetan Book of the Dead is all about a monk's NDE.
Yeah.
Take all those other variables, how long someone's been down, religious, good, bad, whatever the experience is, and there's one thread of commonality that runs through them all. Consciousness continues in a form we recognize as ourselves. And isn't that all those transitions we go through life? The continuity is that we recognize that consciousness as us.
That's right.
But it's still moving from elementary school to high school.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. It's like the lady who said he was knitting. I mean, she was to knit in real life, and now she's still knitting. She's in the other life, and she's still knitting. So
It's still just part of.
She was part of her life. She's part of her character.
That's exactly
Someone
right.
who's joking all the time, then the next time they're still going to be that lively, jokey person.
Exactly. Yeah.
You still
We
keep
don't. All those
traits.
traits, but we don't keep hatred. We don't keep
No.
arrogance. We
No.
don't. We keep all
Personality
those
traits.
traits, personalities.
Yeah.
Right. The rest of it is just emotional baggage.
Yeah.
And love and what we learn. That's what we take with us. There's nothing else in our culture that we value that we take with us into the energetic, into the other side.
No, because all the rest is rubbish.
Exactly. It
the
all
rest is-
belongs here.
Yeah.
It's all part of this material world,
That's
right?
it.
But it's
That's
not. We know more in the energy. We know that love and acknowledging that we are all part of the same greater family.
That's right.
That's the fundamental truth of the cosmos.
The oneness.
Yes. And the more people that wake up to that, the right hand doesn't see the left as opposite and other, it sees it as complementary.
Of course.
So if you're the left hand, I'll be the right. Do you want to be complementary? We really have to bring that level of harmony back to our interaction with each other as human beings.
That's right.
And our interaction with the planet.
That's right. That's right. The same as Lao Tzu said, we're all just drops in an ocean.
Exactly. Yes. Just little points of light. All of us belong into the same huge sun.
Yeah, that's right. But if you take a glass from the ocean, is it still part of the ocean, or is it not still part of the ocean? If you pour it back in,
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Always. Yeah, you don't take the fundamental nature out of anything.
Of course not. Of course not.
Right.
Well, it's been fantastic. Fantastic. I've had a very, very good time. And we've
Me as well.
lots and lots and lots of different things. So
Yes, we have.
so I think we've given the public a lot to think about. And
I hope so.
hopefully they will take in just one little thing of what we've been talking about and consider it at least.
Exactly. From your mouth to spirit's ears.
Lovely. Beautiful. Thanks very much for coming and thanks for your time. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
I sure hope so. It has been an absolute pleasure, Peter. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, thank you very much for you guys too for listening in and watching our program today. We'll be back next week with a new ND, and hopefully we'll have new information or add to what we've already said this week or what we said last week. So hopefully I'll see you all again next week. Sawawana, see you next week.